see what's going on, see if anybody comes through. Just, see what's going on, see if anybody comes through. Just do kind of a freestyle, touch on a few things. Um, Caught some football this weekend. I'm gonna address how them my videos. Uh, Most of everything in college football pretty much look like the same now. Before people start talking about SC, this is the first game with Colorado where there was no what I call racist rhetoric. It was straight up on the field. Caleb Williams looked great. He is a bad man. And they did beat up on Colorado, like I said before. As I've said before, Colorado will be good in time, but they got to work on their defense. They don't have the horses to play defense. And so when you go against Caleb Williams, you got to be correct. That's the turnabout with that. Um, Duke is a surprisingly decent college football team. I was thinking maybe going in reverse now from basketball to football. We'll see with that. Georgia's still winning. Michigan's winning. So, you know, um, and I like the quarterback for the University of Washington, like Heisman Trophy, looking pretty good there. They had a close game. So, but by and large, there were some wild games at the LSU Mississippi State. That one was crazy. So, college football went as expected. Baseball, I was wrong about the Seattle Mariners. They ain't gonna make the state. That was a choke job. Texas, Houston Astros, World Series champions. Um, Gonna be interesting happens come playoff time now. You got obviously with Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, no one's really talking about. The National League, of course, Atlanta's the favorite, then the Dodgers, Milwaukee. So you got, I think, Miami going in. So you got some Philadelphia. So you got some interesting storylines over in baseball. That'll be interesting. NFL today, I guess the big story, my Buffalo Bills, they spanked Miami. Yeah, I almost put a 50 piece on them, ironically. Think about it. If they had beaten them, if they'd have put a 50 on them, return the favor for Denver. Josh Allen played great. The Bills' defense has been stepping up. So, we knew Dallas was going to spank New England. I will do an NFL thing when I do my whole run. So, um, NFL's going as pretty much as expected. The bill to divert the shutdown happened last night, but Kevin McCarthy is a dead man walking. He's a walking pinata. It's just a matter of time before Matt Gaetz or Matt Freaky Gaetz got the nerve to swing. But, McCarthy got to know they didn't really want him in. He's a pinata for the speaker, and he ain't got but so much time before they, going to get him up out of this. So, you know, they put a band-aid on this shutdown. I think they should have had it. I don't want no more money going over Ukraine. I'm so tired of hearing about Ukraine, all this money when you got all these homelessness and all the stuff that's still going over here in the States. You need to take care of people over here first. The racism, the poverty, the homelessness, all that stuff need to be dealt with. Not all this money getting cut checks left and right, and you don't even take care of what's in front of you. You go on Pennsylvania Avenue and you'll see needles and people strung out, and they sending money left and right. That's not cool. So anyway, that's a rant for a different day. And then, of course, one of the biggest headlines, Exhibit got in on what Special Ed said about NWA bad for the black community. And Exhibit talked to his talk. He need to shut up. He was used as a pawn, too. Remember Pimp My Rides? Fraudulent show. He got a lot of audacity. I will do a video on that on my own channel, which should peep out. I'm going to probably talk about Exhibit. I don't want to hear anyone talking about trying to come in defense. He can give Ice Cube and drain them all the love. He was signed to Aftermath and all that. However, you were doing Pimp My Ride when you didn't even have a ride. You barely had a Hot Wheels. And now you're up here talking about, you defending. Um, People can go on about what was happening pre-NWA, but the industry knows what to put money on. See, the thing what Ice Cube can say is that, well, we start off underground. Everybody that's signed to a major label, they see if you have selling potential. And yes, they didn't get any radio play at first, but then Express Yourself did, which was a very popular song, which had predated him by 20 years. Because Dr. Dre went to the same cutout bin, a lot of stuff that happened with MC Hammer and Run DMC. It's a blueprint for selling past records, and the industry will put money on who they want to. That's what they don't tell you, So, um, you know, it's just one of those things where you have to cipher for your own self. Yes, people will say that just because I listen to this doesn't lead me to this. However, there's a reason why the industry pushes certain angles and imageries there. Yeah, I grew up in a neighborhood when they had the cool logo in the neighborhood. That didn't mean that I spelled it KOOL, even though I listened to Cool in the game. It didn't mean that I partook in the cigarettes. However, it was a reminder that it was placed there. It's called product placement, and it impacts you, especially when you're black. See, when the suburb kids get it, they get it vicariously because they can sneak and listen to it. They don't have to worry about those signs, those agendas being pushed. They don't have to worry about it being thrown in their face as a way of being cool in the norm. Different things get normalized. So this is part of the things. So just saying, there's a different standards, and the industry has been very guilty of pushing the agenda onto people. They push what they want. It's in all walks of life. If you don't like what you see with basketball and Europeanisms, that's because the powers that be who run the league want it that way. The NFL wants quarterbacks to be protected. They want more offense. They want it that way. Baseball wants this more teams to participate. There's things that they want. It's the powers that be. It's not necessarily the players. There are people who are indoctrined. They are all into this whole thing about let's go look into analytics. Ironically, that's what James Harden and Daryl Mortley, his supposed is the president of the Philadelphia 76ers, was all about analytics. Let's do everything with analytics. So this is what they spend their time on. You spend time reading and learning the basics of life. They spend time like, let's compartmentalize, let's get something romanticized, and let's put it like this. This is where we come to. So it's in all forms of life. They do something, they say, hey, let's try this. Let's go a little bit further with this. Let's try that. I do think that NWA, I saw the movie back in the day, and I was around when they were blowed up. And I think Cube was a strong writer. Dre was a good producer. Easy was character, catchy and everything. However, I was more of a Public Enemy dude, and I definitely saw a shift. You know, and then you wonder why Cuban part didn't know what he was doing because he turned around and cut America's Most Wanted with the Bomb Squad, PE's crew for production. You know, so there was some disassociation. There's things that was going on, but see, then no one is holding themselves accountable, responsible. When an artist acts like they're the same person, like Muhammad Ali always said, if you're the same person from 20 to you are at 50, you have not evolved. You wasted 30 years of your life. So you're not speaking out on what you were, and you're not saying what you become. So you cannot possibly think the same and be the same as you were because life has evolved, and things have changed. So that is a reality. And I understand that, because Cube's acting like this big three and doing all those movies. Are we done yet? Are we going to be here yet? Are we flying here yet? Like that hasn't happened. He's not the same cat. People knew the real Ice Cube NIT student. He's the same thing as Will Smith was. Versatile talent. But see, this is when you get black and pigeonholed. You can't come out and be nerdy and goofy and geeky because if you don't come off as a player, a pusher, or a hustler, they just look at you as a nerd. They look at you as a geek. They look at you as, oddball, and they got to come up with character. So these things are very real, and they unfortunately is part of the culture. Like before we even get into social media, this is what you have growing up in this culture where you identify in a certain segment. So there are segments to this, there are levels to this, there are ways that you have to identify to signify who you are. They just don't let you just be, and when you're in an industry, it's a clique, it's a chain. It is basically, it's pre-prison. It is a plantation because they're looking for you to be a certain way, And I didn't agree with Prince putting slave on his face, but I will say this, he wasn't wrong. It is a plantation. Once you really, really break down the music industry, it is a plantation. They're very sleek with what they put their money on. They think people are dumb, and they want you to spend money on something that is just really, really watered down, safe, middle road. They don't want you to have to think about it. Don't want you to question anything about it. And they don't reward the people who really created it. They want it to be whitewashed as much as possible. And those who question it will get whiteballed, if not ran out. So there's a lot going on with that. And so you ask, well, how do you get all that with NWA? Well, their name alone was something that the industry was pushing a tag to push on. Their name alone and their imagery alone was like, let's hype this up, let's get this ball rolling, because this conscious stuff is cool, but we want y'all to bash from within. We don't want you to talk about Whitey. That's a fact. So that's the reason why, and it's done on so many other levels too. You know, it's a double-edged sword, and it's done where people don't really understand that. Some people don't understand that they've used it to cheapen the creativity of black folks in the industry, and they used it to cheapen the creativity or perception of black folks. It's done on purpose. The entertainment industry is a plantation. Entertainment industry doesn't care about telling black sides of stories. They just care about selling a Disney-like image with everything. The NWA movie was Disney. I watched it. I enjoyed the success it had because I like F. Gary Gray as a director. But I came away from there like looking at Cube and Dre, like shaking my head, like, really, really, y'all story ain't nothing like this. Not especially Dr. Dre. Come on now. Dr. Dre would be so lucky if he doesn't have a surviving Dr. Dre. Come on now. It's not even funny. But again, when you start making money on that for the massa, they got a way of smoothing out who they want to sell. They got a way of doing it. Oh, mark my words about it. I kid you not. And I said this before and I'll say it again. R. Kelly is far from away from the only one with a surviving. If we were going to really, really, really go down that road with surviving, there'd be a whole lot. However, when your money ain't funny and they're not trying to run you out and they got other agendas and other plans, they let you hang around a little while longer. And of course, other big news this week with Keefe D and Tupac, which I'm not buying it. Y'all ain't gonna tell me about almost some 30 years later that y'all decide that a black man who got deleted because the iconic status, etc., that y'all decide to put some justice for him. Keefe D had been said he was involved, wrote a book, was all on Vlad TV, as Suge would say, all up in these videos, all in these books, all in his interviews, and y'all just now coming out with something. You can't trust him. Can't trust him. Can't trust them. It's no different than the wiretaps they did with Malcolm and Medgar Evers and Dr. King and other black leaders in the 60s. They pick when they want to do justice, and then there's just us. If there's money to be made, that's all it's about. It's not logical to even think that they cared about Tupac because they didn't. They didn't. They wanted, I believe, knew he had to be deleted to get free. He had pretty much sold his soul in that industry, and I believe that, just like Biggie. They knew that's the only way they could get free. There is no free when you're in that industry, because in that industry, they own you. And when they own you, they let it be known that that's how they feel about you. Let it be known that that's where you're going to have to succumb to what they're going to do. There's so much sacrifices, so there's a lot going on with that. So those are some of the headlines this week that happen. There's always something going on in the news. And then, of course, health is everything. And, of course, the welfare of people is everything. And, and migrants coming like crazy in different places. And, just so many things that, that you can touch upon. And when people, ask about it, it's like, okay, we'll do this, we'll talk about that. And, again, I always welcome comments and suggestions and things like that. And I will definitely. I guess the other big thing was Damian Lillard getting traded. And then all the deals with Portland and Phoenix. NBA should be interesting when it comes about. I'll see what happens with Dame. You know, Dame he looked kind of awkward with that Milwaukee outfit. I'll see how it go. I don't think that was his. I think he likes Giannis, but I think they still take it South Beach. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that if everything goes the way it looks like it's going, if Drew Holiday gets traded to Boston or something happens, Pat Riley got egg on his face. And I don't say that often, but he looking kind of long in the tooth. If he can't make a big fish, he can't seem to land a big fish. He's landing parts, but if he can't land that big one, it's not looking good for what his so called. That's his agenda. He is a cat that goes looking for the bass. He doesn't go looking for little fishes. So um, that's interesting what's happened with that. We'll see what happens. The NBA will be coming up soon. I don't really get too excited about the NBA because it's a joke and it's in tournament crap. It's going to be comical. So we'll see what happens with that. You know, that's about, I'm going to be on here a few more minutes unless someone comes along and wants to hit up, hits me up with questions or something like that. Um, I will gladly respond and everything like that, just to see what's going on. But um, how's the weather where you are? It's a nice day out here. Uh, Pretty warm. Sorry to believe it's October 1st already. You talk about one thing is for sure. You live long enough, you see the hours and the days go by very fast. Before you know it, half your year's over with. You get into football season, you get into other things. It's like, wow. That's just the reality. I tell anybody, so once you get out of high school, once you get on to a certain point in your life, it just goes by so fast. Stuff that you used to say, well, I'll wait till tomorrow, I'll come back into next week, I'll do this, I'll do that. It goes by very fast. It's very quick with how everything can go. It's one of those things where um, take nothing for granted, be thankful for everything. Take nothing for granted and be thankful for everything because that is the reality that you're dealing with. It is just that quick. It is just that quick that everything is just a blink of an eye. So um, that's pretty much what goes on with that. So yeah, no. Generally, I like to just kind of pop up out here. Uh, when I do a live stream, if someone comes along wants to comment, that's cool. Um, but by and large, I just kind of like to make it spontaneous because that's how I operate with everything. It's just kind of when the mood strikes. So, you know, today I was listening to some music, listening to some people. I'm going to definitely be doing more things where I start talking about music in some of these discussions because I like to get some interesting feedback on what you're listening to, what you're grooving to, what would you like to be grooving to, and what do you think is missing for what you'd like to hear? It's just one of those things. Um, Let me see what this. I got to see what this button is real quick. I'm just curious. Okay, just checking out there real quick. Some things I'm just kind of touching on and then just kind of like, looking at them, everything like that. So, you know, um, you know, just seeing what's going on and, you know, um, just taking in the day. I don't know, there's some football games. Something gonna be on tonight. I'm gonna probably watch a movie tonight. Um, it's nothing like Sunday cooking, relaxing. No, do your own, relaxing. Everything is still the same. Um, Keeping my distance, just doing low key stuff, Not trying to be into too much anything and just staying healthy, that's the key. Um, Healthy living, healthy cooking. Keep your life simple, don't stress, and learn how to respect and take in things. So, and I did a video about this homeless situation, which is real. There's some shots fired. People like tripping. I don't know. It's a little breezy too where I live, so I had to turn the heat on for the first day of the first of the month, get into this month to kind of get that room kind of right because it's a little airy. So let me know when's the earliest that you usually turn your heater on. I'm curious about when you you know, get that thing going. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. If I don't get nobody come through, I will call it a day and go back to my video ones and throw some ideas, throw some things out there, see if anybody want chop it up, speak on different things, and hope everybody's having a good and blessed, safe Sunday, and enjoying whatever you're doing. Hope things is going all right. Hope to start the week off on the upside. Um, because it's a lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of things going on that are kind of like so much uncertainty with day by day. That's why I take one day at a time. And some people come at me talking about how about this day and that. And I said, look, I go one day at a time, one step per minute, and get into the hour. Don't think too far ahead, because nothing is promised. You just have to make the most of what you got and what you're doing. So I should get an amen for that one. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. And you know, going with that. So um, if I don't get any more on for this, I will conclude, and I will probably stream again in a few days. Um, Again, in things that we'd like to discuss, because when I do these streams, I will go into more detail about different things, and so feel free to throw back the feedback. Other than that, sign off. Peace and the best. Looking forward to hearing from you, and the people that check it out. Right on, the best. All right, I'll catch you. Have a good evening. Stay safe. Be careful. Have a good weekend. I am going back to video land. I'm out. Peace.